Temple. He said, I am a good man. I'm not trying to tear you down, but I've been asked to do this, so I have to do it. And I said, fine. He said, well, do you have some names? He said, I don't want a lot of names, 10, 15 names. And I said, sure, I'll give you the names of the people at Rock Creek. Those are the ones we started with. And he said, oh, great, send me everything you have on them. I said, oh, no. You get 13 names and their ages. That's all you get.
Because that's all we started
and
with.
you find out that they were buried at Rock Creek. That's all you're going to get from me. And he said, you're serious? I said, I'm dead serious. I said, you start where we start, and you'll become converted. So I sent him the 13 names from Rock Creek. And a month or two went by, and John Jarman calls me. And he said, President Lorimer, I really want you to know that I'm a good man. I said, I know you are. He said, but I want you to know that you're wrong. He said, we've proved that you're wrong. I said, no, we're not wrong. And if you just work on it a little more, you'll find out we're right. He said, no, you definitely are wrong. And I said, Brother Jarman, because we went back and forth 3 or 4 times. You're wrong, no, we're right, no, you're wrong, you're right. I said, rather than do this all morning, why don't you just tell me where we're wrong? He said, okay, I will. And he started crying. And he said, President, he said, there's one more ordinance that needs to be done that you didn't know about. He became one of our greatest allies. Mm-hmm. When Temple Ready was just in the very infancy of it, Elder Tingey was over Temple Ready. We didn't know that. Mm-hmm. But John Jarman and Elder Hinckley gave us Temple Ready, which sped things up exponentially. They did everything they could to help us. Everything. I mean, if we needed something, they gave it to us.
Well, even that is a miracle. All that was being developed, and we had no idea. We'd never even thought about it. But, that was being developed in Salt Lake.
But we were able to process the cards here.
Yeah.
We were the first stake in the church to do that.
To be able to do our own name cards.
Print them off and take them to the temple and say, this is what needs to be done. And people get it confused. They think the Second Rescue was buying all this land. And that was not the Second Rescue. The Second Rescue was the family history part of it.
The temple work.
Getting families sealed together. Hartman Rector came here, and this is something that you need to know since you're working on that. We were just doing the research on the people. The 400 and some odd in the Willie Company and the almost 500 in the Martin Company. And we were just doing the baptisms and endowments for them. Hartman Rector is one of those general authorities that came.
He was a 70.
And he was dialed in when he got here. And in one of our meetings with the presidency, he said, well, now tell me again what you're doing. So we told him. And he said, well, then just stop. Just quit doing what you're doing. We said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, you haven't done anything. He said, if you don't go back and seal them to their parents and their children to them, you haven't done anything. You have to research them and seal them to their parents and their children to them. The sealing is what counts. It blew up. And so that's how come there were so many ordinances done. And
but it all got done in 1 year.
1 year.
The Remember book said over 4,200.
Mm-hmm. In that 1 year.
Which is incredible.
And there's only 1,000 members of those 2 companies.
And you don't do temple work for people other than someone you're related to, unless you have permission or instruction from the first presidency, from the president.
President Hinckley saying, go do this.
We all felt how important this was and how unusual it was, and that we needed to be on board and we needed to do everything we could to help it to work, and we all did. We all did everything we could possibly do to help.
The fulfillment of prophecy, revelation. I mean, all you got to do is go out to Martin's Cove or Rock Creek and you see it. And it isn't important that people remember how it happened, who did it, and all of the miracles that happened, that we could acquire those lands.
That we could spend hours telling you those stories.
You
There's
just see
miracles
the young, you just see
after
the
miracle.
young people come there. It changes them, and they go away different than they came, and that's the fulfillment of a prophet's vision, and the vision that came to a stake president was, all the thousands and thousands of people that have been blessed because of little James and Bo Deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where it all started. People don't know that. They think the Second Rescue is building a visitor center, and it wasn't. It was as though the pioneers, when I remember at Rock Creek that day, we dedicated Rock Creek, and I remember staying there after everybody was gone, and I didn't see anything, but it was like, in my mind's eye, I could relate to the pioneers were going up over the hill. And it was like they said, and they turned around and said, thank you for all you did for us.
Little Bodil Mortensen was finally able to be sealed to her parents after the rest of her temple work was done by proxy in the Ogden Temple. Both Rock Creek Hollow and Martin's Cove were dedicated by President Hinckley. The monument at Rock Creek Hollow is called the Remember Stone. It encourages us to remember the sacrifices made by those initial pioneers and those that saved them the first time, and the Riverton, Wyoming stake, who provided spiritual salvation by doing their temple proxy work.